Today we are asking the question, what is the critical zone? The critical zone is a term used to describe the thin outer layer of Earth, or everything from the bedrock to the tops of the trees. Let's talk to scientists doing research in the critical zone and see what they have to say.
I think the place to start might be, where is the critical zone? We tend to define it as from the layer of coherent bedrock all the way up to the canopy of the ecosystem.
So the critical zone is the thin layer at the surface of our planet where we live, where our cities are built, where the water that we consume is flowing, and where we have the crops from which we're getting food. So
Dr. Jenny Druhan and Julien Bouchez study water quality in the critical zone. They each run a very unique laboratory called a RiverLab. Like the name implies, they conduct their research from state-of-the-art laboratories located right on the banks of the river. The only difference is they are located on opposite sides of the globe. I asked them both, why is it so important to understand this zone? Here is what they had to say.
The critical zone is the place where we live, all of us. And it's undergoing a number of challenges and stresses at the moment with climate change, pollution, water stress, change in biodiversity. So for all these reasons, we need to understand better what are the interactions between the different components of the critical zone: the water, the ecosystems, the rock, the soils. And this is why it's important for us to learn a bit more about how it's functioning and how it's changing with time.
Took a cross-section through the planet. It's such a very thin little layer at the very surface that takes you from the interface between the interior of the Earth and space. It's so thin. That transition zone is so fragile, and yet it is the entirety of where we exist. And so I find it a fascinating topic to work on simply because it is a place that is in transition and in flux at all times.
All life on our planet exists within this thin zone. No wonder it's so critical. This is why it is so important for scientists around the world and right here in Illinois to work together to understand it better. Now we are bringing this science into the classroom. Students are stepping into the zone with new lessons and fun, hands-on activities. From the air we breathe, to the water we drink, to the soils where we grow our food, everything is connected in the critical zone. We can also learn more when we work together.
But I think at a more fundamental level, the idea of the critical zone was to push us as a scientific community to step outside of the boundaries of what are our traditional fields of research. So I might be trained in and even hired as a hydrologist, but I'm thinking about ecosystem function and how ecosystems require water and how that impacts the amount and quality of the water that's draining through the stream. So it's an integrative framework for us to do research in.